Alright guys, welcome back to another one. So we've got some Square Enix stuff to talk about. The Square Enix update. I thought I'd keep you guys in the loop with this, as I've recently heard some pretty interesting information from a source of mine that gives us a bit of an idea as to what Square Enix are going to be doing throughout 2025. Unfortunately, it's sounding like it's going to be a pretty quiet one. So this isn't exactly great news per se, but I think ultimately it does make sense given the current status of the company and sort of what's been going on with Square over the past couple of years. Now, this information is coming from the same source that told me that Square Enix were looking at doing a showcase or a Square Enix Presents direct styled thing come February. Now, as we know, we're about 20 days through February, there has been nothing said. I heard a week ago that Square Enix decided to opt out of doing this and rather shift their announcements to other major gaming showcases like a Nintendo Direct or Summer Games Fest. This was something that was being looked at and was considered for February, so I only hope that going forward, this is something they return back to. I really do miss the Square Enix Presents that they used to do back in the day. And if they can return to having maybe 1 or 2 a year as a means to showcase kind of what's in the pipeline, I mean, especially right now, this would have been really good just considering that Square Enix's roadmap is bone dry. There is tumbleweeds, dust, and skeletons everywhere. There is nothing going on. For 2025, we have 2 mobile phone games, and of course, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 2D HD remake. That's basically it, and that's what this information I'm about to tell you guys about is in relation to the roadmap for this year. So without mentioning the exact quote, which is right in front of me, because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, Square Enix right now are currently working on a lot of things behind the scenes. Now we know at the end of 2023 there was a pretty big change that took effect for Square Enix, the change of presidency from Yosuke Matsuda to Takashi Kiryu. And along with this presidency swap over, a lot of things changed internally at Square Enix in regards to how they approach their business and game development. While Square Enix over the past few years have been seeing some wins with some of their big games, there's also been a lot of stuff that's been funneling out of Square that has been a complete flop. I think games like The Quiet Man or Balan Wonderworld or Left Alive are just some of the few that were absolute failures and were clearly a waste of time and resources. It was confirmed that Square Enix had decided to axe a whole ton of projects that were in development, ultimately costing the company quite a lot of money. And with this announcement, they also mentioned that they are completely changing how they approach game development with being more selective on the titles they're working on. I think it's safe to say that Square have taken a lot of risks over the past few years, hoping that certain things work out, where the majority of them unfortunately just don't. And as a result, the HD games sector of the company, looking at console single-player games, haven't been performing too well. So something obviously needs to happen, and this is why Square Enix launched this new approach to how they do things known as Reboot and Reawaken. So it's also been mentioned here that due to what is going on internally at the company, it has led a lot of games to get pushed back and cancelled. So as far as 2025 is concerned, Square Enix are only looking at launching a few AA games to fill in for this year. Basically meaning that it looks like, not confirmed, but looks like there isn't actually any major game releases for 2025. Nothing to do with AAA. And this does make sense because, right now, we don't know what is happening for Square throughout this year, aside from 3 smaller titles that are due to release. That is basically it as far as their roadmap is concerned. If they had some big budget AAA title that was set to release sometime in 2025, you would think that around about now would be the time to reveal it, to start the promotional cycle of the game. So this does definitely line up. So as much as we had some biggish Square-related games release last year, looking at 7 Rebirth being the biggest and Visions of Mana, the company though is very much in the reboot phase rather than the reawaken phase. An internal change as big as the one that Square Enix has seen starting at the very end of 2023 means that for some time, it is going to be quiet. From everything we've heard to do with the internal changes going on at Square Enix, it does make me think if it has somehow impacted the release schedule or something to do with Kingdom Hearts 4's development, or just the Kingdom Hearts development overall, because looking at also Missing Link, that game there has received numerous delays, whether it be public or, as we know, also internal. Remember that Square Enix are wanting to be a lot more particular about what they are releasing now, not just shoveling out games that don't perform well. And there's a lot that can go wrong looking at Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. It's going to be very interesting to see if that turns out to be a success for the company, given that it's a GPS mobile game. Aside from hardcore Kingdom Hearts fans, I really don't think there's going to be much interest for this game. So it does lead me to believe that there has been a lot that is changed up to do with Missing Link as ordered by the higher-ups at Square Enix due to their new approach towards video game development. Now look, I might be drawing some straws with this one and just trying to connect dots as best I can, but the effects of the Square Enix takeover would have been happening right the way through 2023, with it officially taking place right at the end of that year. Remember that 2023 is also the same year that Tetsuya Nomura took to the stage at one of the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra concerts to announce that a change in direction had taken place for the Kingdom Hearts series. We still don't know what this is. There's so much speculation surrounding this. One possibility here is something affecting development in relation to the takeover that's happening internally to do with the development of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. It's bizarre that we've heard nothing to do with Kingdom Hearts 4 for almost 3 years, along with Missing Link being pushed back so many times. Now, I think it's important to know that the information I've been given here is simply just talking about 2025 game releases. This doesn't have anything to do with announcements or reveals. So in the way of those, I don't think it will be a quiet year. I think that Square Enix will want to take this quiet year of releases as an opportunity to set up what the company have releasing over the next coming years. I am confident that we will hear about Kingdom Hearts 4 this year, along with hopefully the new Yoko Taro project that has apparently been in the works for quite some time. Hopefully it's a new Nier. And I know that Dragon Quest fans are holding out for Dragon Quest 12, so this hopefully will be a year more so dedicated towards announcements and paving out a proper roadmap for both the audience of Square Enix along with investors, because right now, if I were to be an investor of Square Enix, I'd sort of be looking at them sideways. We don't know when any of these big projects that are currently being worked on are set to release. And for the sake of investors, that's kind of worrying. And lastly, circling back to the Square Enix showcase that was being considered for February, another reason as to why they decided to axe the showcase is because Square Enix are apparently wanting to move towards showcasing games when they are closer to their release dates. This is actually really good information, if of course it is true, because Square Enix do have this habit of announcing games far too early. Kingdom Hearts is an absolute victim of this. It really isn't any different with Kingdom Hearts 4 currently, and also Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, which I just think is ridiculous for a mobile game. It's soon approaching 3 years since Kingdom Hearts Missing Link got announced. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 4 I can understand, it's a much larger project in scale, but Missing Link being a mobile game, as much as it is more ambitious than your typical mobile game, to wait 3 years for it is kind of insane. I do hope that this is one of the new things that Takashi Kiryu has enforced across the company. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was a really good example of this. It went from reveal to release within 2 years with pretty consistent updates all the way through. So hopefully future Square Enix projects can follow suit. But from what I'm seeing here, yeah, Square Enix are wanting to change their approach by showcasing games when they have a clear release date in sight. So that's a bit of an update for the Square Enix side of things. In a way, this really isn't kind of surprising. I mean, the company is clearly going through some much needed rearrangements and major changes internally right now. And although the takeover did happen quite some time ago, these changes don't just happen overnight. I still think it's really strange that we haven't heard anything to do with Missing Link. You know, we're now almost 3 months in after the game got delayed back in December, as it was supposed to release last year. I think out of anything that's going on with Square right now, I think that's probably the most surprising. Again, this could relate to Square Enix wanting to showcase things when they're ready for release. But then that's kind of concerning because, like, again, Missing Link's been in development for a long time for a mobile game. How are they not close to release? So hopefully we hear about it sometime soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. Slap that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A big thank you to my wonderful patrons. Thank you guys so much for the ongoing support. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk again real soon.